All right, y'all. I'm back. I'm back. We not done. I'm gonna switch up a little bit. Why the Brittney Griner, Paul Whelan prison swap for Victor Bout is a bad idea, aka the Merchant of Death. Why is this a bad idea? It's a bad idea for multiple reasons. For multiple reasons. For multiple reasons. And I'ma do this video. If you're able to watch it and catch up to it right now, dope. If not, you'll see it again. But basically, there's a lot going on right now with this whole ordeal. Uh, Ex-President Trump got up there yesterday, and he has real big ties to Russia, and he's now being ridiculed for his stance on the whole situation. And I rock with President Trump on it. I agree with his stance on it because he has a voice and a platform to actually speak about this, and he was a president of the United States. And I totally disagree with a prisoner swap, especially the type of swap that they're talking about. Uh, the inmates in question are not on the same tier. They're not on the same equal level of the crime committed. First of all, Victor Bout, aka the Merchant of Death, he's a Russian uh, weaponist. Okay, he's somebody who deals with weapons trade, weapons arms sales, and I suppose to some level there's no problem with that. But when you talk about the potential for playing both sides of a field in a situation where weapons and arms are being sold, and you're talking about access to intel that is not normally given, not given to normal civilians at all, and you're dealing with high-powered weaponry, like what Victor Bout had access to. It said that he had the access to all of Russia's cache of weapons that had been put in warehouse and warehoused over the years. And that's what he was actually selling. It's also said that he was in league with the Russian government, and that's how he was able to move so swiftly across the world when it came down to his different deals and those different sorts of things like that. And arms trade is a very serious thing because just like uh just like that one family, the Rothschild family, who got into banking, they realized that as long as they could control the money in the bank, they could control who they loaned money to, who they charged interest to, and they didn't care if they were funding one side or the other. They would fund all sides of a war, for instance, knowing that they would get interest returned from all sides of the war. They weren't exclusive in their dealings. They dealt with everybody and anybody whose pockets they could get into. And it's the same with war. Anybody selling weapons doesn't care about who they selling the weapons to, as long as they selling the about falls into that category of individual who was allowed and given opportunity to sell weapons to many, many different people, many different countries. And these countries would be at war with each other. He would just hop on a plane, sell weapons to them, and then hop on the plane, sell weapons to them, and just stand back. And when we talk about, well, when I talk about my people, I talk about African people, for instance, and I talk about the stronghold that Victor Bout had on African nations, as far as selling African nations weapons and watching African people kill African people. Now you have to understand the misconception. Side note about Africa is that everybody in Africa is the same. That's the biggest misconception about Africa. Instead of looking at 54 different countries of different people, and then even the nations and tribal clans and communities within those countries as being different. So there's so many different language groups and so many different people and so many different cultures in Africa that's why war is prevalent a lot of times, because there's different people. But the outside perception of Africa is that there's one Africa, meaning that everyone is the same. And that's just not true. But when we have individuals who play on that and who are allowed to play on that, I'm not never really gonna stand for that. You know what I'm saying? I don't stand for nobody harming another. Europe is is guilty of that sort of thing too, where we might have the conception that all Europeans are the same, but all Europeans are not the same. You know what I'm saying? And people in China ain't the same. And so we have to get outside of this narrative that says, oh, I'm going to turn a blind eye to this just because, oh, they're all the same. And it's just black on black crime. It's just Chinese on Chinese crime. It's nothing. Nah, people get targeted for being part of different ethnic groups within the community or country that they live in. And so Victor Bout is definitely not somebody that I feel should be traded in a swap or released from prison in order to begin doing these things again. Now, I know they be like, man, don't hate the player, hate the game. Man, I get that. I get it. I get it. I get it. But that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about an isolated event where this Victor Bout individual is given freedom or some sort of opportunity to be relocated or extradited back to his country to then serve and finish serving his sentence. No, in Russia, Victor Bout is considered a hero. Why? Because when he is now sitting in prison, I believe he's out there in the Midwest in Illinois, being housed in Illinois someplace. Little Guantanamo is what they trying to call it. He is being housed in a prison in Illinois, not in Russia, and he's not talking. He ain't snitching. He's not talking. He don't know nothing. And that's why he's being celebrated in Russia. And that's why the Russian government desperately wants him back because of what he has in here. Okay? What Victor Bout has in his mind is of more value than even his freedom to the Russian government because they know time goes on, Victor Bout go miss his loved ones, and you never know. Alzheimer's might kick in, and Alzheimer's is weird, where after it kicks in, whatever happened before Alzheimer's is usually what's remembered, right? So this dude could get up there and get to talking, and they don't want that. Okay, I hope y'all hear me. Now let's talk about Brittney Griner. Brittney Griner is this sister from Texas, lesbian sister at that, who has already showed what her propaganda machine is about, pumping LGBTQ rights and all this sort of thing like that. And she plays in the WNBA. And for some reason, she felt that her American status was enough to allow her to go to Russia to play, make some money for the Russian team or with the Russian basketball team. And then she thought it would be a great idea to take some cannabis products over to Russia. Now, if you ask me, she's being alleged to have wanted to take her 14 or so little cannabis vapor cartridges over to Russia with the intent to sell. Now, anybody that done dealt with cannabis before, there's a high possibility that that was true. But 14 little capsules of cannabis ain't gonna be no kingpin type move, okay? In my mind, if she took it over there for those types of reasons, intent to sell, it was just to share with her basketball team, maybe make a couple of dollars just for the sake of bringing it over. But it wasn't something that she was doing as a real money making machine. Okay, if that was the case, she'd have boatloads of it shipped. You feel me? So I'm not gonna sit here and say that she was literally trying to make all this money from selling. And look, the live feed playing with me now. Okay, like she was really trying to sit over here and sell all this type of cannabis to her team. Hold up, we're gonna get us a moment. We're gonna get us a little quick moment to catch up with what I'm talking about. Y'all tapped in with me? Okay. I'm gonna try to make this quick because I got my own perspective on it. So Brittney Griner is accused of intent to sell. She had a personal use quantity though of the cannabis product. Cannabis is illegal. My thing on it is this. Us as Americans need to realize that when you go to another country, when we go to another country, we need to leave that American mindset alone. Saying that, oh, I could get out of this, so I could do whatever I want to. First of all, any government, any country that we go to visit has every right to uphold their own laws. Now, I'm a big advocate of that because We want the same over here. If somebody come over here from another country, we want them to honor our laws and rules and regulations as well. So for Brittney Griner to think that she was too big or big enough to bypass those laws is beyond me. And I think that she made a great mistake. Now, because she wants to be a man and she wants to identify as a stud, she wants to identify as LGBTQ man, I think Russia is sitting up there like, hey, you know what? Since she want to be a man, let's treat her like a man. Because they not big on that over there anyway. They not big on the whole LGBTQ thing. They believe in a man and a woman and a child. And the naturalness of humanity in that respect. And that's why I rock with Russia on that level. But when it comes to an individual who's identifying as a man and she's actually a woman and she wants to do manly things, I believe that's another reason why they holding her. But you got to remember, I don't like to get lost in the sensationalism of things. Your brother True Jew is a realist. I'm also an idealist. But when it comes to the reality of things, we have to go deep. The rabbit hole is deep. And this is a multifaceted situation. It's bringing light to the LGBTQ community. You have all sorts of individuals in this country rallying around Brittney Griner, declaring that she needs to be brought home and she's unjustly being held. Then you have people on a global level saying, no, she deserves to be exactly where she is because she did the crime, she needs to do the time. Then you have the Russian government, who is a part, and this is what I want to say, who's a part of the overall shadow government, okay? So remember this. All the presidents of the world's nations work for Satan, work for the devil, okay? You have to remember this. If you didn't know, now you know. Your brother Truth, you're not here to jaws till you sell your wolf tickets. I'm just letting you know. And it's a hard, difficult, messed up truth to have to deal with. Because when you start realizing that all the governments are actually in league and this is all just one big WWF show, it's all one big WWE production, it's all one big Hollywood production, as working for the devil, then you will realize that all of this is some bull crap, okay? And this is the biggest thing. Every time I seen Brittney Griner in the media, she always had on some designer clothes. She always had on some statement shirt, some statement piece. Where is she getting all these clothes from? Has anybody asked that question? Every time I see Brittney Griner, she has a smile on her face. Her hands are in front of her, like they just put the cuffs on her. The cuffs are very loose. She can move around how she wants to. She always happy. And I'm trying to figure out to myself, for somebody that's supposedly being held against their will in a foreign jail, why is it that she always appears to be happy, like as though she was just on the couch kicking it, eating popcorn and pretzels, and then as soon as it's time to go into the courtroom, she got to put on a face that she's being unjustly held? This ain't hate. This is just observation. Check this out too. Victor Bout, aka the Merchant of Death, needs to be back in Russia, right? So what does Russia demand? Russia demands that 2 inmates be swapped for him, or right now they want 2 inmates released, Victor Bout and another Russian inmate, in exchange for Paul Whelan and Brittney Griner. Now this is what gets me about Paul Whelan. Paul Whelan has been included in this package deal like we talking about some type of basketball or football sports trade. This is hilarious, y'all. And what's also funny, meaning ironic, is that this Paul Whelan is considered a security consultant for the government of the United States. But in reality, he was an espionage spy. So I have to wonder why he hasn't been tortured or anything when it's been declared openly that he is a spy for the United States government in Russia. Are y'all seeing what's going on here? So when President Trump gets up there and he makes the statements that he's making, that Brittney Griner is a spoiled American, he's relating the fact that she went over there knowing full well that any attention she brought on herself would be under the microscope, magnifying glass, and that she was well aware of the laws of Russia in regards to cannabis. But she still moved forward with the cannabis products, got detained, and is now asking to receive trade off from a prison in Russia to America, knowing that when she gets to America, she will not be detained any longer. In the meanwhile, we have true political prisoners like Mutulu Shakur, Asada Shakur, still in Cuba right now, hiding from the United States government, who doesn't seek to right the wrongs committed against them. And we have true political prisoners of our people. And I don't know who's watching this live right now, but I'm a so-called black man, and I got to talk for my so-called black folk when I deal with this, because Brittney Griner is a so-called black woman masquerading as a man. Look at the confusion, y'all. If I don't talk about this, if I don't speak on this, y'all, who's gonna speak on it? From my perspective, who's gonna speak on it? I don't know who's gonna speak on it. And what I'm supposed to just take the narrative that's presented to me, right, and just be hush about it, right? Not happening. True Jew don't get down like that. So my whole thing is, now we have true political prisoners who have fought for our people in this country, and they don't get a second shot or any sort of true justice handed down to them so that they can be removed from the prison that they are housed in, right? But we have this WNBA star who's getting all sorts of endorsements, all sort of sponsorships, all sort of support. Remember, I'm not hating. I'm just speaking on the stuff. And now we're all being forced to emotionally tie ourselves into this idea that she should be freed in exchange for a true killer. Please help me make sense of this, y'all. That's no trade in my book. That's no trade. It's not happening. If I'm in America and I done finally caught wind of this merchant of death and I caught him and now I got him housed in my prison, ain't no way I'm trading this killer for no WNBA basketball star. It's not happening, y'all. It's not happening. And that should kind of go to show you how this government even feels about, I'm going to just say, African people, Asian people, because who Victor Bout was selling weapons to kill each other were Asian nations, African nations. That's where he was making his paper. And Russia was celebrating it. And Russia celebrates him because, like I said, he has intel that he hasn't disclosed. Okay? Right on, family. So my whole thing is Brittney Griner doesn't deserve to be free. I know people gonna hate me for that, and so be it if that's what the case is. But Brittney Griner, do she deserve the type of sentence that she might get for having the cannabis cartridges? That's based off the evidence. If she was truly trying to sell to her teammates, or she was truly trying to distribute to make a few extra dollars over there based off the cannabis product, then hey, she should have knew better. But if she was really using the product for her own medical condition, whatever that was. And we know the cannabis is a good product, but we talk about those byproducts, the vapors and all of that. I don't even rock with that. I don't smoke right now, nothing. You know, I don't drink, I don't smoke. So I'm coming at y'all with a clear, super clear mind on this, okay? And so, no knock to our brothers and sisters that's intaking the cannabis, having a little wine. I'm not here to attack that. We grown, we supposed to be grown. All I'm saying is, when you know as an individual that you are going to another country, it's your responsibility to do the due diligence pertaining to that country and not think that you bigger or slicker than the people running that country if an individual, I'm not going to say you and put that on you, if an individual should get caught up in that system. I don't see what the problem is. Just like Victor Bout knew, he's selling weapons. The chances of him getting caught by, now I don't even know how DEA had jurisdiction in South Africa where he was caught, but DEA had jurisdiction out there to catch him. They caught him and extradited him back to the United States, where he's been housed ever since he was caught. This is the thing that cracks me up. They made a movie called Lord of War back in 2005, starring Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage portrayed Viktor Bout, the Merchant of Death. And in this movie, he was celebrated again. Okay? So my whole thing is, what's really going on is that they're trying to bring light to all sorts of dastardly plays, okay? They're trying to bring light to the LGBTQ community and rally behind Brittney Griner as though she's some sort of hero. Then they're taking this known spy, Paul Whelan. Usually, the United States, if a spy gets caught, that's on the spy. The United States would deny that the spy was even working for them, working for this government. But Paul Whelan is now included in this deal to be traded and extradited back to the United States. And Viktor Bout is being propositioned as one of the trade pieces. And it's so funny because Russia is in a current war right now with Ukraine. And Russia is doing everything they can to clean up their image through the media. And Ukraine started the war, and it's just a bunch of bull crap. So my question is, I hope y'all thinking about this, what's really going on? And I'm not talking about the Brittney Griner, Viktor Bout swap, Paul Whelan swap. I'm not talking about that. Why is this even being presented to us as something we need to focus on and pay attention to? What's really going on? Remember, I told you, all of these governments are part of the shadow government. All of these governments are part of the same group of individuals working under Satan, working under the devil, working against the children of the Most High. So, what's really going on? Well, we also know that Russia, just like the United States, is in league with the devil when it comes to forms of technology that has been presented through these demons masquerading as aliens. We know that a great disclosure is going to be taking place because we're almost at the time of the end. You can read Joel chapter 2. And remember, Joel chapter 2 is one of those very special chapters that details how the Most High and the Most High's army is going to come back through them clouds on these chariots, aka UFOs, aka light ships, aka Vimana, aka flying machines. Okay? And they're going to come down, and it's going to be fleets of them. And it's going to drive the world crazy because this whole time the people of the world thought that this was all fiction. The whole time, the people of the world thought UFOs didn't exist. The whole time, the people of the world believed the world governments in that, oh, we don't know what these devices are, what these vehicles are. We don't know anything. They're aliens. Nah, the government knows. And there's two different forms of this. You got the demons and you got the angels. And it just is what it is. Okay? Now, an individual like myself who knows about these things, it's my job, certain parts of the day, certain parts of the week, certain parts of the month, certain parts of the year to speak on these things. And I'm choosing to speak on it right now because I want y'all to know this whole thing that they presenting to us to get us distracted is not what we should be focused on. The world is heating up literally right now. The world is literally heating up. Do y'all hear me? What that Bible say, the fire next time? Something that gets me about the whole New Age movement, the New Age community, the conscious community, and all of these communities that have popped up over the last 2 years, 3 years or so, is that each one of the main pioneers in these communities still goes to the Bible to pull the information that they need to present to communities who don't like the Bible, who don't agree with the Bible, who don't agree with the Most High, who don't agree with Yahshua, who don't agree with the narrative of spirituality as it comes through the Bible, mistaking religiosity for spirituality and using the Bible as a crux for religion versus a crux for spirituality. I'm not going to fall into that. I'm not going to get tricked out of position, y'all. That's why I reference the Bible as much as I do. Because the Bible is one of the only books on this planet that, whether you like it or not, has described what's going on to a T. Okay? And you have to have the eyes to see what's going on. There's some keys. Maybe I'll do a live on the keys that I've received that help me see what I'm talking about in the Bible. So maybe y'all will give it one more shot. So you ain't out here looking like Boo Boo the Fool. That's the whole reason I started this channel, was to keep y'all knowing that, hey, it's still a young brother out here that haven't given up on certain elements of life. And maybe based off of what I'm talking about and how I study and what I do, it might give y'all some inspiration and motivation to say, you know what? This bruh, he might sound crazy, but every time I watch one of his videos and then I go back and I do the due diligence that he be asking us to do, man, bro, be talking about some real stuff. That's the point. I don't want to control y'all. That's not fun. I don't want to domineer over y'all. I don't want to push my beliefs onto y'all. I just know that I'm a light in this place. I done been through so much in my life, and my heart could have got cold. My heart could have got hard. My heart could have totally went to the dark side with things. But no, in this day, we got to have somebody standing strong in this thing. We got to. And I'm just one, hopefully a many. But I'm not gonna let my light get knocked out. I'm not gonna let my lamp get dampened and put out just so I could be with some popular agenda or something that's gonna remove me from the light in place of some worldly reward, or in place of being placed on a stage that I might have always wanted to be on, and ain't no telling how I got to the stage. Cause your bro ain't doing nothing strange for no little piece of change. I tell you that right now. And I'm staying strong. And that's what I got to do. And if I can help my brothers and my sisters stand strong as well, by just being an example of what standing strong could actually look like in this day of darkness, then that's what I'm gonna be on. So it's not about me trying to control your thinking. It's just that, whoa, I didn't even know it was still cool to think like that. I say, I didn't even know it was still cool to be on that. I didn't even know it was still cool to study for yourself. I didn't even know it was still cool to open up a book and read. My mom always told me, no matter what we've gone through in life, she would drop jewels on me. And she said, son, whenever you go to the library and you want to read books before 1968, get your hands on books before 1968. Open up that front cover and read where the copyright and the publishing date is. If it say before 1968, you better believe that's a good book to read. Why? Because our folks wasn't even able to read. We were still being segregated. So all of those books that was in the library before 1968 is what white folks wanted other white folks to read. That's why the library then went digital. That's why the books that you see on the shelves these days is 1970, 1971, 1972. Where all the old books go? They took them off the shelf because now through things like affirmative action and ideas like desegregation, now black folks, people of color, got the same access to the books that the white folks had to put them in power during that very crucial time in our history. Listen, I got to tell y'all the real. That's why it's so important to read. Reading is fun to mental. Woo! Y'all want to know what I know? That's how I know what I know. I read, and I read old books. And this whole thing ain't right. So look, y'all, I hope I gave y'all some food for thought. I hope that y'all is thinking. That's it. That's all I be asking. Just think. It's gonna be time when this internet not even on here no more. Okay? I'm not speaking nothing into existence. I'm just telling y'all what's real. You know what an EMP is? Do any of y'all know what an EMP device is? An EMP missile? Do y'all know what that is? Do y'all know what an EMP is? Anybody? Well, EMPs are electromagnetic projectiles, electromagnetic pulses. They're devices that get shot up into the sky. They blow up, and they don't do no harm to us as people unless we're in vehicles that are electric, right? Or unless we're dealing with electricity at the time they explode. And they jamble and jumble up all the electrical signals and devices to where nothing works. Don't you find it strange that right now we're being asked to switch from petrol gas to electric vehicles? Can you imagine an EMP going off, being set off while everybody's in their electric vehicle driving down the freeway? And then that vehicle totally shuts off on them. Steering column goes out. No more gas, no more brake, no more ability to control that vehicle. Can y'all imagine the type of destruction that would happen if an EMP went off like that? Well, that's what they're trying to prime us for. Think about an EMP when it comes down to the internet and live streaming, even digital files. They don't want us to have books no more, right? They don't even want us to write no more. They want us to text and put everything into our notes on our phones, right? But if you don't have an offline source that you can rely on, once the EMP goes off, all of your information, all your intel is out the window. If you didn't know how to get someplace without using MapQuest, guess what? Once the EMP goes off, MapQuest don't work no more. So you gotta go to the auto zones, to O'Reilly's or wherever your auto store is. You gotta get you a map. You gotta learn the areas where you live. I'm just keeping it 100 with y'all. Everybody don't like to hear this type of thing because we don't want to be held accountable. A lot of us still think like children, still waiting on a mother and a father to guide us and dictate what we need to do. And then even then we get the instruction. It's like, I don't want to do that. But I'm telling y'all the real. You take power back into your own hand by educating yourself and enlightening yourself to what's really going on. Don't get fooled with the okie doke. You don't got to be Boo Boo the Fool, Willie Lump Lump. We know all them names, right? But you don't want to be that. You want to be able to stand strong. And you want to be able to stand strong in your convictions based off of what you know, not what you believe. This is your bro True Jew tapping in with y'all the only way I know how. But it's definitely some fishy business going on out there in Russia with Brittney Griner and Paul Whelan. We have true political prisoners that deserve to be appreciated and taken out of prison, but that's not going to happen. Mutulu Shakur has cancer right now. Do you think his sentence is being lowered or dropped? Do you think he's being allowed the type of help that he needs in prison right now? No. Unfortunately, they want our brother to rot in prison. But the agenda for Brittney Griner to be taken out of prison for something she definitely knew better than to do and to be considered a hero because of it, it just goes to show you where we are in the land right now. For Viktor Bout to be a killer, worldly known weapons dealer, and be even considered to be let out of prison, it goes to show you where we are right now. For a global spy in Paul Whelan to be captured by the Russian government and being considered to be let out of prison goes to show you where we are right now. For Joe Biden, old Joe Biden, to be finally given that favor to become president, and he can't hardly even talk, but is in a position to negotiate, but he can't hardly even talk, goes to show you where we are right now. So look, I love y'all to light. Thank y'all for tapping in with me. I'm going to go ahead on and end this live. I ask you always to stay blessed. I ask you always to remember to stay vigilant. Vigilant means you looking, you paying attention. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Arm yourselves with knowledge and truth. Remember, Bruh True Jew is here just to enlighten you to the best of my ability. I do my own due diligence. I study for myself, and I just share those things with y'all, but I ask y'all to do the same thing. All right? Most of Mama Papa willing, I'll be back with another one. But until then, y'all remember what I said. Gone.